No, I'll just take them for him. Yeah. Okay, good to go. Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to this panel session. I'm Julian from Kemp BU, and I hope so far MES is going well for you and finding your way around and enjoying the sessions you've been able to engage with so far. It's my role as chair to begin by saying that Simon Fraser University respectfully and with gratitude acknowledges that we work on the shared, unceded traditional coast Salish lands of the Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, Musqueam and Kwikwetlem nations. We acknowledge the sovereignty and equality of Indigenous nations and are guided by aspirations to remake Canada into a decolonial state comprised of Indigenous and non-Indigenous people who function with respect for one another. This panel brings together 3 organizations active in the creative industry sector in the Middle East and North Africa region, which we refer to as MENA for the purpose of the panel, to discuss the interplay between creative digital media practice, media literacy, and youth activism to fight for social justice. The 3 organizations, together with Roy El-Khoury, Head of Youth and Civil Society for the British Council in Lebanon and Syria, will present their efforts and engage in a roundtable to discuss the connection between arts, activism, and media literacy in terms of capability and civic consequences. I'm going to briefly introduce our guests and then hand over to our guests to share their work through Zoom. Boobly is a youth-led digital media platform founded in 2019. In Tunisian slang, Boobly means a hubbub, a kerfuffle, or a bangarang. In other words, a commotion often caused by conflicting views. Among young people, the term has taken quite a positive connotation, which encapsulates the spirit of the Boobly project. To make a Boobly is to disrupt norms and conventions. We welcome Khaloud Mahmoud to this panel to represent Boobly. Gate of Sun, since August 2nd, 2017, Syrian filmmaker Amir Al-Ajlouni and scenographer Ravan have run Gate of Sun, a social enterprise that serves as a film production house and an open space for cultural exchange in Gaziantep, Turkey. You'll be aware, of course, that Gaziantep, Turkey has recently been hit by a very serious situation, and so we're extremely grateful that Amir is still able to join us today from those circumstances. Gate of Sun aims to improve social cohesion among host and guest communities by producing audiovisual art with artists and filmmakers. And we welcome Amir to this panel today to represent Gate of Sun. Sharda Media Lab is a shared working space for media producers in Lebanon. It aims to provide media creators and influencers in Beirut and in North Lebanon with a safe space and platform and all of the required support to drive forward their media skills. We welcome Noor Melli to this panel to represent Sharda Media Lab. Our colleagues from each organization will now share their work, beginning with Khaloud from Boobly.
Hello, everyone. I apologize because my camera is broken, so you cannot see me. My name is Khaloud, and I am a head of community engagement with Boobly, which is a Tunisian alternative media founded in 2019. Boobly's mission actually is to empower young people, especially the most marginalized, to disrupt the media landscape and to challenge dominant narratives and stereotypical representations of youth through innovative content. Our approach is mainly based on organic community that evolves according to the virality of our concepts. And our main audience is young Tunisians aged between 15 and 25, primarily those living in the marginalized areas and who are not very well represented in traditional media. So I'm really glad to be among you today. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Can we now hear from Amir and Gate of Sun?
Yeah, hi Julian, how are you? And hi everyone. Thank you very much for this nice session and to meet everyone, even it's an online. And thanks for the nice words. I hope mercy for all people who did that earthquake. My name is Amir Ajdouni. I'm from Syria. I studied media at Damascus University. Then I moved to Turkey in 2015 to work on a media campaign for American Bar Association. Then I moved on to my own company, and that company is a social enterprise which helps people to express themselves in a different way and creative way. So that will allow us to have the important topics in a creative way, so people can understand it in a more like an easy way. And we can maybe talk more about this later. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And we now hear from Noor to represent Sharda Media Lab.
Hi everyone, thank you Julian and everyone. I'm Noor Milli and I'm from Syria. I'm working as Sharda Media Lab coordinator at an incubation center called Shift Social Innovation Hub in Lebanon. Sharda Media Lab is a media platform and a hub for content creators in Lebanon. The lab was established at Shift with the contribution of a group of youth to promote peace, positivity through informative, entertaining, and realistic content. Sharda Media Lab is the first media lab to offer its services directly to the communities in Lebanon through the provision of a safe space for workshops, training, and the equipment needed by every passionate young man and woman to create meaningful and innovative content. The creative community at Sharda is one of its main strengths, and it's a diverse and talented group of youth that constantly pushing the boundaries of what possible and driving the company's success.
Thank you, everybody. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to ask some questions to our guests by way of a roundtable discussion, and then we'll take questions from both the floor in the room and the virtual floor in Zoom to continue the conversation among audiences. So the first question I'd like to propose to put to the three organizations who have presented or are sharing with us today is the following. So we at this event are interested in media education and media literacy, and we're interested in how people who have media literacy and creative aptitude bring these things to projects in such a way that these projects don't develop those things from scratch. So media literacy is something that people already have in various degrees. And so the kind of work that's being cultivated and developed and nurtured in the projects that our friends have described is about finding new purposes, perhaps new motivations for people using those skills, as well as developing those skills further. So please could our guests comment on how the media and creative skills your participants already bring to their work with you are developed and changed and progress differently in the kinds of work that you do. I haven't got a plan for which of you goes first, so I'll just ask it as an open question.
Yeah, I don't mind if Noor or Khulud or Roy want to go, but I can talk in brief, saying like people in general, they have an idea and think they can implement this an idea in any way of art, like drawing, filming, dancing, performing for a theater. But the big problem, they don't know the steps for that. So what we think, bring them, like when you try this with someone, like you just send them to that market immediately without any training. They will learn a lot instead of having them in the class. So this is the way we usually start the course with the people from the first day. We ask them to do tasks, outdoor tasks like go to street, have some photographs, get back to the office. Let's see what you see. Let me see how your idea implemented, what the steps you took for this to be here. And in this way, I can understand what the skill of each one of them and what I need to develop for them. Then we need to know after like working on their skills and capabilities, maybe we can work more about the ideas, because sometimes the idea is just like it's not deep enough to be like an artistic idea. It's just like a news or something. It's not related to human feels, or like I have no feelings, have no yeah, like it's not deep enough to be discussed with the audience. So in this way, we are trying to bring them to the real life, then to make a good purpose. After that, it will take maybe weeks, months, relying on the project aims or goals. If it's short films, it will take like 2 or 3 months, or maybe shorter. It will take shorter. It's about the timeline of the project. In that time, we work on the schedule. Talking about the creativity now, it's accessible because more than the old time, because most of people now have smartphones. They can access to YouTube. They can go and to see the creative people what they produce. They can learn from them. But to be honest with you, there is no, let's say, academic way to learn. And that's what we keep in the atmosphere we build with the people. And thanks. So I will take other people.
Thank you very much.
I guess I'll go next.
Great, thank you.
So what we do in Boobly is also what we call capacity building for youth. So we train youth on how to create content and disseminate it on social media platforms. And we have for that a program. Its duration is of 3 months, and we give them practical and theoretical training that go like in parallel ways, and they're asked during that training to bring up their creativity, see things from different angles, develop their critical thinking, and learn more about the technical stuff, like how to film, how to edit, how to write scripts and everything. So what we do is try to shape what they already have, because if they are selected to join the program, they surely have something special and they have a potential. So what we try to do is just shape a little bit that potential, bring out the best in them. And as in Boobly, we actually believe that creativity is something that you can develop. And what we're trying to do is create disciplined creatives, people who are able to be very creative and create very impactful content, but be organized at once and know about the algorithms and see and read the insights and everything. So this is how we're doing it.
Thank you very much. Noor, are you able to give a response to
Yes,
that?
Julia. Sorry, but the internet not stable, so I will keep the camera off. Sorry for that. For me, regarding the creative aptitude and media literacy, I do believe that. Sorry, can you hear me?
We can.
Yes. So for me, I do believe the media literacy and creative aptitude are skills that are developed over time through various experiences and interactions with media. These skills require ongoing practice and reinforcement. That's why it's important to provide opportunities for continued engagement with media and mentorship to support their development. At Shadda Media Lab, We support individuals to improve their media literacy and creative aptitude skills by providing a well-equipped safe space and supportive environment to practice and experiment with different types of media. This could include workshops on media analysis, sensitive journalism, production, mentorship programs, and opportunities to collaborate with others on creative projects. Through these activities, individuals can develop their critical thinking, problem solving, and communication skills, as well as build their confidence and self-expression. Here, I want to mention that our main goal at Shadda is not just to support individuals in developing their skills. We aim to support them in applying these skills in ways that are meaningful and relevant to their lives and communities. So whether you want to create a podcast, design a campaign, or produce a short film, Shadda Media Lab is a space where you can explore and develop your media literacy and creative aptitude skills. Sorry. So also at Shadda, we work with the community members who already have some media and creative skills, but we help them develop these skills even further. Like when people learn how to create media content and express themselves creatively, it can have a big impact on their community. By empowering them to share their own stories and challenge negative stereotypes and hate speech, we help them take control of their own narrative. This can boost their confidence, pride, and sense of agency. Also could help them participate in making changes in their community. In addition, developing media and creative skills can help people to find jobs in those industries. This can lead to more economic stability for individuals and families, and contribute to growth of the community as a whole. To sum up, these skills can bring people together and promote understanding and social cohesion when people from different backgrounds and perspectives come together to share their stories and collaborate on creative projects. I'm sure this can build connections and promote inclusivity in the community.
Thank you, everyone, for those responses. The second question is to the the sharing organisations today, but also from the British Council colleague who's joining us in this call as well. Would you describe this work as media activism? And is media activism a description that works for you and your participants?
So I will start. Thank you for this question. So yes, since working with youth coming from marginalized and conflict-affected communities, creating social bonds and bridges and supporting and mentoring them to develop and channel their thoughts while amplifying their voices is at the heart of what we are doing. So in previous and ongoing projects, youth were able to influence the narrative, advocate for change, and showcase alternative pathways via platforms. So I will give two quick tangible examples. For example, in Tripoli, a city in North Lebanon, marginalized and stigmatized by violent extremism and radicalization, youth from this city were able to provide a counter narrative and to challenge the status quo through the content that was produced and disseminated, and this contributed to changing the perception towards the city. Another example in other projects where youth were able to conduct a mapping and analysis of social media platforms to define the issues that create polarization among young people. So they observed a polarization of attitudes towards women. For example, men stereotyping women by using humor. So they designed an approach that uses humor and gender-conscious content to mainstream gender equality and break gender stereotypes and engage men in the conversation through healthy debates concerning gender roles and honor crimes that sadly still exist in some areas of Lebanon. Thanks.
Thank you. So the question, I'll reset it, was around whether you think the term media activism works for the work that you do with your participants. So could we hear from one of the organizations joining us today, please?
I can be next.
Thank you.
Yes, so we at Shadda Media Lab, our aim is to give the community members the power to express themselves freely. It's all about inclusivity, diversity, and social justice. Plus, we provide all the equipment and the training needed for young people to create awesome content. Our lab is a platform for journalists and content creators, pro or just starting out. We have got all the resources and networking opportunities they need to explore and create new forms of media. We have even got a friendly training areas between Beirut and Tripoli that can fit up to 20 people each area. I mean, complete with all the gear you need to start filming and recording. Sorry. So we have got also a community of over 100 passionate young people, including experienced media professionals and trainees who constantly put the boundaries of what's possible. Together, we are all about creating positive change and making our voices heard. So we are definitely media activists and we are proud of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, maybe I will go.
My answer to that.
Please, go.
Oh, sorry. My answer to that question would be yes, as well. Actually, when we first started at Boobly, and as our main audience were marginalized youth, we started creating content basically in entertainment. So this audience can relate to it. And after 1 year of work, we started working on problem-driven content, but with a very sarcastic tone of voice, with funny words and a good image. We talked about youth civic engagement, and we followed manifestations. We reported that. We talked about youth empowerment, gender equality, mental health, fake news, climate change, and fighting traditional beliefs. We talked about a lot about taboos in Tunisia. And these videos, they have reached more than 3 million people in Tunisia. So after creating content that the audience and youth could relate to, we tried after that doing what we call edutainment, which is creating educational content through entertainment. And this is what we're trying to teach to our participants.
Yeah, thank you, Khulud. I would like to say something about being an activist. It's an option in some countries, but in my situation and maybe in other situation after I heard all of that stories. So it's a force. It's not an option. You should be an activist, right? So the situation and the position you have, it forced us to be an activist, working on what we have, what the topic we need to talk about. So for example, for me, I never thought about Gate of Sun as a normal project, because Gate of Sun as a name, that means the gate of light, where we can see in the dark we live in. So maybe all of the world heard about the war in Syria. And till now the war is running, but there's no media to cover it. Most of people that I trained, even in Syria or here, I never thought like I would produce that short films. But every time I'm trying to find a normal story to talk about, people brought us to a very dramatic story. They want other people to hear about, they want other communities to help them. And now I can say, yes, we are supporting and we're doing activism, and we support artists in filmmaking and in theater production. We have that open space where people can talk, speak, and when we have a theater, interactive theater, so using a depression interactive theater or theater for like social topics. I remember that we have on the terrace, like in the old building, some days you cannot find a chair. And maybe later, if you allow us to showcase the first short films that produced after a project that's called Camera Women, that one of the projects allow women to make their voice out loud. That's talking about a story of one of the participants when she has been in the jail in Syria. So yeah, I take it too much tragedy, but this is the fact, and this is the reality we are living in. I believe the ground for you again. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. So we're interested as well in this conference on developing projects, sometimes research projects, sometimes educational interventions, and we talk a lot about engaging participants in such work. So what advice would you give us about the best conditions to create to increase or ensure levels of engagement from your participants?
From experience, I'd say to make it as fun as possible. This is the only way we're getting more engagement from the community in Bubli.
Thank you.
Can I answer?
Yes, please.
Yes. So we at Shadda, we strive to create the best conditions for engagement among our community members. So we work closely with our participants and use a participatory approach to involve community members in decision-making processes. We also provide various forms of support, including training and financial assistance through short-term opportunities. And ensure a safe and supportive environment for participants to share their experience and ideas. We also value the contribution of our participants and create opportunities for them to showcase their work and to get involved in advocacy and awareness raising activities. Additionally, we regularly monitor and evaluate our projects and the participants' works to assess their impact and effectiveness, using feedback from participants and our team to improve the quality of our programs. I think through these strategies, we aim to create an environment that foster active participation from community members, leading to successful and sustainable projects.
Thanks.
So quickly, it's a journey, Julian. So most importantly, to keep their engagement, we allow them to select the topic that they want to address and build their knowledge to tackle it instead of imposing an already set plan, agenda, or strategy. So that the topic they choose can be related to gender discrimination and inclusion, corruption, LGBTQIA+ topics, or advocacy and lobbying for local issues. So they should identify and map their needs and to advocate for it. Also, providing them with grants when possible to collectively address their community needs was one of the keys to success. And as my colleague mentioned, providing them with incentives, transportation means, and so on is very important given the current collapse and the current economic situation.
Yeah, thanks, Rory. I would like to say something, maybe it's out of saying best conditions, because sometimes you prepare everything, but people are expecting to have another. So what we do, we open the space for everyone, but we said there's two rules. You have a freedom to do anything, but you have to make freedom go with the respect, because your freedom is too much. Maybe some people will be like affected in a bad way from your freedom. So we teach them how to be free in their ideas, but respect other people. And even in opening time, sharing buffet, whatever, like facilities, we show them the map on the building. If it's offline workshop, if it's online, we send the program from the earliest time. We keep working on them, keep touching on them, and maybe sometimes in personal stories, in personal life, to show them this is not only a job, it's a life, as our colleagues mentioned before. Thank you.
Thank you all. And then my final question before we open it up to our two audiences is this one, which is, what strategies can you share about how to make this kind of work sustainable to have positive impact in the longer term?
Yeah, I'll go first here. So I will give an example just to make it easy for myself. So when some people say sustainability, they only think about cash, about money, to make a cow cash, you know, and that is the sustainability. You can open a restaurant if you want to do this in activism, instead of working on people ideas. But in filmmaking, what I consider is a sustainability. You keep watching people, you train them from 10 years, still producing film, and they are fighting to go to festivals, fighting to show their work everywhere in the city, in another city. That means they are exist, we are sustained, we are developed, we are making growth, we are training another people, and we make sure this process of learn, produce, and share and work together is widening more and more. Maybe this is a wrong definition for sustainability, but at least this is what I can do in this time. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to continue my strategy of hoping these guys will work it out who's going to speak next rather than asking them direct questions. Could we hear from, thank you.
Yeah, so I will speak as a British intervention inside Lebanon. So localization is crucial to what we are doing. Here, I mean working with the local community and institutions and local civil society organizations to engage with youth and respond to their needs. So as an example here in the panel, we can see Noor representing Shift. So it's one of the local CSOs that is supported and empowered by the British Council to lead youth engagement. In addition to delivery of training of trainers, TOTs, and having in the communities change makers or focal points. Also, one strategy can be to complement online work and content with an offline strategy, as forming a committee for a given online platform comprised of community members, private sector and academia, and local NGOs or civil society organizations to sustain the work beyond the life of a project.
And what we do in Boobly is giving them space in our Facebook group to exchange after the end of the program, that we have actually now all the generations that have graduated from our training program in the same group, exchanging knowledge, references, and advice. We also organize events for them and meetups where they can like meet in person in the Boobly space and exchange share experience and everything, or we invite them for events where we invite other content creators or other alternative medias and have a discussion or a debate about something. We also encourage every participant to keep working on themselves individually. Learning is a journey that never ends, and the individual work, the individual research is really important to evolve.
Thank you. And finally, Noor, do you have a response?
Yes.
Thank you.
So for us at Shadda, we believe that sustainable impact requires multiple approaches. That's why we have adopted a range of strategies to ensure long-term success of our work. One key strategy is to develop a partnership with like-minded organizations and individuals who can help us to expand our reach and impact. We also diversify our funding sources, so we are not reliant on one or two sources of support. Another critical strategy we are following is to invest in capacity building for our members and volunteers. By enhancing their skills and knowledge, we strengthen our internal capacity, which helps us to be more effective and resilient. We also prioritize collaborative decision-making processes that involve all stakeholders in our projects, including beneficiaries. I think this helps us to ensure that our work is responsive and accountable to the community needs. And one last approach that we offer production services to external clients as a means of generation revenue that we can reinvest in our community-based programs and initiatives. And I think adopting these strategies, we believe that Shadda can continue to make a positive impact in the longer term and contribute to building more equitable and sustainable society.
Thank you. Thank you to all of our participants. So what we have some time for now is a discussion amongst ourselves in the room, our our guests and our Zoom audience as well. And we want to put a prompt to you, which is as follows. What can media education learn from what has been shared in this panel? So what can we as a community of media education and media literacy practitioners, researchers, scholars, what can we take from the work that's been shared today and the perspectives that we've heard from our guests? So I can take questions from the floor, and we also have questions or comments rather in the Zoom audience as well. So first of all, people in the room, I invite comments.
Julie, do you want folks to go to the mic?
That's probably a good idea. Yeah. Thank you, Stuart.
It's actually key.
So now I have to ask a question. This is actually a question for Khulud, for Boobly. I'm really curious how you come to meet your participants and how you determine their potential, because you said you're determining potential, and I'm really curious what that looks like. Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Sure. Should I answer now?
Yes, please.
Great. So we have like different cohorts. Ones are for content creators, like basically they need to have a YouTube channel or an Instagram account or something base they're starting with. Or we have another type of training where just people who are really interested to work in the digital media industry, who want to film, who want to write video scripts, who want to work in communication for the videos and the products, they participate. And we have cohorts all along the year. So basically the criteria are not only the quality of the work or how you show your motivation on your application, but also if you're available for the training or not, if you're in Tunisia or not in Tunisia. These are the main criteria. So basically for content creators, we see if they have started or not started yet, if they have started the kind of the work they're doing. We do not really look for quality, but we want to see how much effort they've been doing in order to see if they have just started and they just need a boost from us, or they didn't start, and because it's very different to choose participants, because the whole training program needs to be homogeneous and needs to be adaptable to every participant. It's gonna be a big difference if we choose one person with a base with content they already create and build on that, and another person who they didn't start at all doing their content or publishing their content online. So that's basically the difference.
Great, thank you.
I hope I answered the question.
You did, thank you. So either questions or any comments on what media education can learn from what we've heard about this morning, where we are, or wherever you are time zone wise. Any questions or comments from the Zoom audience? No, not at this point. Okay, then. Any more questions or comments from the floor, please?
I don't think this is, oh yeah, it is on. Amir, you talked about like not choosing to be an activist. That wasn't a choice. It's just based on your situation, you have to be an activist. I'm a teacher. I teach a general range of kids. They don't approach me. How do I foster the identity or the disposition of an activist in my grade 8 students, for instance?
Okay, thank you. First, thank you for asking. I will like make it brief to make sure that I understand your question. So how we can define, or how you can define this for your students, right? How to become an activist. With this, right?
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah. I mean, like I found myself asking what makes an activist is a bigger question. I'm not asking that of you, but yeah, is it something that somebody who doesn't come from marginalized circumstances can take on and use as a disposition to create content? And if so, how do we foster it?
Yep. Well, maybe it's not the right thing in my mind, but what the first thing came to my mind, it's something you feel someone take it from you, right? And then you will start to think how I can take it back, how I can be an active toward that. Maybe is because the situation we have in Syria, and that's what pushed us to be an activist. And then because we don't know the law, we are doing an art. So now we become an artist. If I were you, I will have a game about for all participants, students from my class or other classes, maybe put them in a position, and let's see what they will do if someone take from them their freedom, their dream. If you lock the door on someone for 10 minutes, what they will do to open the door. So imagine some people locked in the jail for the whole of their life because there is no, because they did nothing. They just say free, right? I don't know if this is the right question, the right answer for your question, but and in general, some tragedy can make people start to do something to fight for their rights, and instead of going in a chaos and don't know what to do, maybe you can organize yourself to understand your skills, what you can do, abilities, situation, to not put yourself in dangerous situation, but use the right tools to reach the goal. Again, I don't know if this is a good answer for you, but I hope I answered your question.
That is good. Thank you. It's very helpful.
Thank you. I have a question from the back of the room.
Thank you. My question is addressed to the whole group. I've been following actually a lot of outputs coming from northern Syria about events, and they provided very, very good accounts actually to the situation there. And of course, institutional media are not doing the job. So you're going for empowerment of the communities to do the media work. So your work goes beyond traditional or normal media literacy into activism. It's mostly apparently vocational type of training, skills and all that stuff. Now, how do you handle the ethical issues, because like citizen journalism, for example, is not like knowing the skills and practicing them. It's also about, handling situations where you have to have some ethical standards to be able to generate a story that is acceptable from the moral and ethical point of view. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for asking the question. What I can answer from my side, when we have a vocational education where people from Syria, even from north, west, south, because Syria is not one at all now. It's a 3-4 parts, and each part has its own control and government, or maybe whatever. You can see someone control that part. If I feel I will put myself with the people that I'm talking about myself, then I can maybe go to the general. If I feel like 1%, I will go with a group of people who is just using this media to make money. And a lot of people do that. Just us filming children, dead people, just to make money. And even now in earthquake, some media are working in a very bad way with no ethical standards. If I feel myself will go with that wrong group, I will withdraw immediately. What I will do first, I will check the idea of people, where they work, if they have a history, and then we can start to talk about how to deliver your work in a fast way. You don't need to be, there's no exam for you to pass. You are not preparing for IELTS or for any exam. You are preparing for the real life. So you need to deliver your message in a very good quality, in a very fast way, and you need to make a good campaign everywhere. For ethical issues, we have a lot, and unfortunately, the corruption everywhere. This is the way. This is the life war. So you cannot have a war and all of people are like peace, living in a peace, right? So because of that, that people, you have this type. Some journalists are not just even journalists graduated from universities like media universities, and part of them, they have a master degree or PhD. They are not respecting any of ethical of the ethics or journalists or standards of human rights. They are filming bodies, they are filming whatever that make them have a good position in for their leaders or for their president in the area they are working for. Yeah, the problem is obvious for everyone, but at least people like me or from the ground, we are trying to keep training only people who have a real idea and who's really we can control them. Thank you. By the way, control them, not control their ideas, control their, at least they can ask us before share anything on social media to make sure they are not breaking any rules.
Thank you. Roy, did you want to come in?
Just I want to add something very quickly. So usually in our case, the technical aspects and the content creation trainings and so on, they are complemented with gender-related topics, human rights, active citizenship, peace building. So we have this complementarity because definitely technical trainings only will not cover all the aspects. In addition to that, at the end, they are not journalists, so they are young people. They want to advocate and talk about topics that matter to them. But definitely, the ethics part is tackled to an extent. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions or comments, please?
Yes, hi everyone. My question is for all of you. We were talking about a lot of media activism and challenging gender stereotypes, promoting equality, fighting inequality, human rights. So my question is, when we do media activism and when we do just like engage in activism, there is a lot of resistance that might come with. And so my question is, like, how do you deal with resistance, with potential resistance or with resistance that might have actually happened in your work? And how do you prepare your students or the people you work with to this potential resistance? So thank you.
Thank you. Great questions. It's about how do you prepare your participants to deal with resistance they might encounter, or more generally, how do you prepare for resistance to the kind of activist work you're trying to nurture?
I will talk when I don't have camera, so I don't know if someone wants to talk. So maybe I mentioned from the beginning what we do is we put people in check. I suggest them to that. So imagine you are doing a film to go to festival, but instead of going to classroom, I will just send you to the festival to see how is the real life. What we do from the first day, we ask them to go to people to see if they're able or accept to be filmed, what other people will say to them, what the colleagues, what the previous work look like, how they should do that. When they get that, at least like they see what happened on the ground. Then we can show them the solution, put them in contact with some people who can help, especially here in Turkey, and maybe in north of Syria, you have problem of permission. In south of Syria, in the capital, even if you have a permission, you cannot film anything. Otherwise, you need to have some connection to do that films. Resistance is different because sometimes now, before it wasn't. Now, one of things people are asking for the money to be interviewed by anyone. And the other problem now is to be one of the group they are used to work with you. So if you are a foreigner and you came to Gaziantep, even if you have a permission from the government, but if you have no fixer to help you, and people will never let you like know where is the position to move on. So we learn them how to go with the groups of WhatsApp to understand where to go, where is the source of the news, where how to find the story, how to meet and interview the people who have the problem. Some cases, and especially in the Middle East, you cannot interview women. It's not easy to interview women, especially the valid one. And how to make, you know, when how to make the idea is not visible to all people, and that it's relying on the camera angles and on the lighting. This is the most things that we faced before. That's it.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to come in response to that question about preparing for resistance?
Yes, me actually. For example, what we do in Boobly when we talk about very sensitive topics, surely we get a lot of resistance from our audience. But what we are trying to do, or what we have always been doing, is we never present something as this is the right thing, this is what you should be thinking, and everything else is wrong. We never do that. What we try to do is bring up the 2 points of view, talk about it, and basically just invite youth to think about it. We present all the information, and it's like a call to action for people to just make up their minds, have an opinion, actually, to have an opinion about the subject with presenting the pros and the cons. So this is our little strategy.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I can.
Please.
So so dealing with the resistance can be challenging, but it's important to approach it with the empathy and understanding. So we prepare our participants to handle resistance by discussing potential challenges and providing tools and strategies for responding to them. So we encourage active listening, acknowledging different perspectives and finding common ground. So it's important to remember that resistance can sometimes stem from a lack of understanding or fear. So we strive to create a safe and supportive environment where everyone feels heard and respected.
Thank you. So I think we're heading towards the end of our time. And because of time zones, there are some people joining us for whom it's much later than it is for us in the room. So I think it just is my final duty during this panel to thank so much the guests who've joined us to share the work they're doing. In the conference program, the abstract for this panel, you can see the links to the projects, of course, that they're working on, so you can see the work for yourselves. Didn't have the time, you know, to kind of go through that and share all that today in the panel. We want to have a conversation. So we took that approach today. But I just want to thank them so much for joining us and show your appreciation, please.
Thank you very much for all of this.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys. So that
Thank you. It was a
concludes the
pleasure.
panel. And to people in person, enjoy the rest of your day, whatever you're going to see next. People in Zoom, likewise, and to our guests who joined us today, thanks again, and see you all soon.
Bye. Thank you so much. Bye.